Hello, everyone. It's Linda from Linda Z's in Arlington Heights, Illinois, welcoming you to my Thursday morning coffee. And also, like I said many times, hope you're coming in the evening too, because you can, you know, at any time join us on our YouTube channel. We have really little snippets of things that we think are really beneficial for you. I love what I'm going to show you today. I've got a guest speaker here that's going to jump in after I'm through. And before I start and show you what it is, I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm wearing. It just blends so well with blends right with the shirt I have on. These are some of our four-way stretch knits. We carry a lot of these in our store. I don't think, Teresa, are they on our website? Yeah, because they change so often. But what we do have, this is just a plain round neck t-shirt that we teach in our class. You can see that this one happens to be the one that has got, it's just real simple set in sleeve. This is a long sleeve that you can pull up. And I didn't have enough fabric and everything, so I just changed it. And I don't know if you can get that, Nick, but you can see I put yeah, I took my regular pattern, just cut it, added my 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can do this on any pattern, and added the little knit fabric here. I had a little leopard print that I thought went well with this. This is a Poochie print. Forget what I did in the back. I know I did something, but just some fun things that I think would really be great for you. You can make them short sleeve. You can make them 3/4 lengths, just to give you an idea. This I did on the new Bernina 850. It's an air threader machine, and it is just a honey of a serger. So I hope you'll come take a look at it. It is on our website. It'll show you some of the things. But look at this bag. This is what we're going to show today. I don't know, I think how many of you have joined our, we call it the Bag of the Month or the Annie by Annie Club. I see a lot of hands going up there. The By Annie Club is one of my favorite things that we're doing. Sue Ellen and Jane have been two of our wonderful teachers who have just spent so much time. They're so creative, and what they come up with is just amazing to me. Look at this little summer bag. It's got the little plastic on the back so you can put your label in here. It's got a little zip that goes around on either side. But this is the part that I absolutely love. It's just amazing. Look at the zip ties and what they've done with them. And I love the lime green that they've done. And then the lime green stitching on here. Even on the very back here, there's another one with the clear, with the lime green zipper. I mean, just so many ideas of what you can put in here. I would take this with me for the beach. And you could put in your lotions and your just all kinds of little things that you might need for a real quick swim, and it's got a little handle on it. So what we're going to show when Jane comes in here, just she's going, come on, come on. Jane is going to give you a preview of what we do in the clubs. I believe she's actually going to show you some of it, right, Jane? Some of the actual techniques, and this was done on the Bernina 890 serger. And look at this beautiful quilting. So I'm going to let her take it away. Again, we're not going to go into the full class because it would be forever, but quite a bit of the technique. So I hope you enjoy it, guys. Really, really appreciate all of your joining us. So let's take it away, Jane.
No, and actually, I'm just going to jump in before Jane.
Sure.
They can sign up on our website, and I believe it's
Is
$89,
that all it is?
regularly $199, and you get 12 bags
Wow.
over an hour-long video each month, and it's
And
very
they
instructive.
really get the individual step-by-step instruction.
Yes,
That's the key.
you'll
That
learn how to
comes
do the
to,
binding. You'll learn how to put zippers. You'll learn
look
how
at
to do
this.
the hooks, like you were telling, and
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, there's just so many great techniques on here that will really help you. This bag, she did in an afternoon. So I just love what they're doing. The way they chose their fabrics, I thought these were really cute. But you could choose anything you want. That's what's so great. So stop talking and let's turn it over to Jane. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, I'm Jane Hunt for Linda Z Sewing Center, and today's project that we're doing is the June bag for Bags by Annie. It's called Hold Everything. I was truly surprised when I started this project and preparing for this class because I thought, how could something so small hold everything? let me show you my own personal bag that I've made out of this pattern and all the things it does. One of the fantastic things about this pattern is you will get a lot of practice on how to do various kinds of zippers. There are 8 in here. There are 4 on the individual pockets, and there's 2 on the back, and then there's 1 around. So that might be 7, I think, 7 zippers. And look all the things it holds out. One of the nice features also about this project is all these pocket pages come out so you can individualize whatever you're doing. I keep thinking of this as a perfect carrier for all the bits and pieces for your various electronics. Or if you're like me, you do English paper piecing on a slide and you put one project in a packet so you can have all your accessories. There's pockets inside and out, and it really stretches. So let's get back to having a lot of fun. This project also allows you to do a lot of things with the notions that you've been collecting over the years, and you're going to be using a lot of them. And I also did this project using 2 different machines, the Bernina 890 cover stitch air threader and my Epic 2, which you'll see later when we actually get down to the construction part of it. Bags by Annie patterns often call for small pieces to be quilted, and sometimes that gets to be a little bit boring when you're on your domestic machine going straight back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes you can get adventurous and put it on your magnetic continuous hoop and do a all over pattern on your pieces. And then sometimes the pieces are just so cumbersome that you tap a friend who has a long arm, or you put it on your own long arm and quilt it from end to end and cut it up from there. This project was ideal. This is the finished one that we're making today. I'll just show you. Once again, it's completely got a couple double zip. It has inside pockets, removable pocket pages, inside pockets again, and it can hold a bundle. It also has a label maker on it, so if you make a bag for every one of your special projects or hobbies at home, so you can always grab the right bag. So let's look at what else we're going to be using. This project is ideal to do a quick log strip of quilting. We're using soft and stable and 2 layers of quilting cotton, one for the front of the project and one for the inside, contrasting on the inside. I'm doing a tropical theme for friends this week, and so here's what we're doing. It's all fabrics from Linda Z's. The options and notions that you've been collecting for your various machines include feet that work on difficult fabrics that have sticking. There is a lot of vinyl in this project, and vinyl doesn't go through smoothly on a machine, so we have to add other things to it. And we'll talk about the sewing machine specifically later on, but we use Supreme Slide. It's a cover for the machine bed to make your fabrics go through smoothly. You also will be interested in Teflon feet, roller feet. They come for the various different machines, and there's several varieties in each machine. So, play with what you've got, and if you don't have it, come to the store and check out what they have online or what they suggest. For my project, when I'm on my Epic 2, I use some little adhesive pieces that I put on the bottom of specialty feet to make them slide a little easier on the vinyl. But I love my Teflon foot. And later on, we're going to be talking about a unique foot called the adjustable bias binder. One of the things that always seems like a boring task to me when I'm making a Bags by Annie is creating the zipper pulls. This can make zipper pulls a dream and a fun thing to deal with. I also use the Mega piping foot on my Epic 2 to get really around curves and such and maintain my 1/4-inch seam. And as always, the Floriani 2-way double-sided perfection tape to help hold down zippers and vinyl when you're doing working on materials that you really don't want to put a pinhole or leave marks with a wonder clip. And for the quilting, we really want to talk about stabilizing your fabric so you don't get wrinkles on other sides. And one of the best ways I've found for projects this size is to do temporary adhesive, which is Otif's 505, and do it in a well ventilated room. I actually do it outside on my front porch. I spray it out there so I know it's not going to get on any surfaces that I'm going to worry about having a sticky residue, and I get lots of fresh air around it. You spray both the soft and stable and the underside of your fabric and smooth it out, and it will hold while you start quilting. The other parts that we'll be using a lot of is in a long fabric non-slipping ruler. I personally like the Quilter Select and Zippers by the Yard by Annie, Bags by Annie. As you can tell in this project, I changed the pulls to match my highlight top stitching on the various pocket pages, just for a touch of whimsy. So now let's set up and talk about quilting on the Bernina 890 using the chain stitch with a specialty thread. Now we're going to talk about how to set up for quilting using soft stable and quilting cotton on the Bernina L890 Serger. We're going to use something called a cover stitch. So there's no knife in the area where that will cut the fabric. We've set up for a 2-thread chain stitch. But because I want to use specialty threads so that something will pop on the fabric, I'm using 2 spools of 12-weight Floriani thread. One in the right cover stitch needle, and one in the lower loop. Now, it is just almost identical to the built-in 2-thread chain stitch. You can even see it's a 2-thread chain stitch, number 16 in the cover stitch folder. But I've made several adjustments because I want to be able to see the difference, the thread. I want the thread to really pop on the fabric. So I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit. The thicker the thread, the longer the stitch, the looser the tension. Okay, let's go for this. So I have changed the tension to the right needle to 4.7. I've left the lower looper at 1.5, which was defaulted. And I've increased the stitch length length in this case to 4.0. Normally it's around a 3. I've also set the cutting width to 5. I've turned it to a rolled hem, and I've attached the cover stitch plate, so it gives me a larger flat space to deal with. Now, a lot of people are afraid of using some of these stitches on quilting because they say they always come undone. I'm going to demonstrate how we defeat that using this handy little tool, all right, and a pair of scissors. So I'm going to test out my settings for the stitch, and I'm going to run it through to the end. I'm going to stop, lift it up, slip this guy underneath the foot and on top of the fabric, pull it forward, creating a loop, drop it, cut the thread. Using my knee lift, I'm going to lift the thing and pull the fabric straight back. You'll notice that there's one thread that wasn't cut. I will cut that. It has pulled both threads used in the chain stitch to the back, and they're locked. It will pull both threads to the back, and that is locking your stitch. The stitch cannot come undone on the front. Also notice that what you see on top is the straight stitch. The decorative chain stitch is what is on the bottom. So all the decoration is on the bottom. Well, how do I see where I want to go with it? That was a problem for me in this issue because I didn't want to cut through all of my turtles. I wanted the turtles to be pretty much uninterrupted with quilting threads. So what I did was on the good side, I did a row of stitching. So you see that the line I follow here, but I want the pretty decorative green stitching to also show out, the chain. So I'm flipping it over, and because previously I have done that straight stitching, I see all of these stitches here that don't have an echo stitch of the straight stitch. So let's start by positioning my cursor, or my my foot. We're using a C13 right there, and I'm just going to gently steer using the side of the foot to create my curves. The whole goal for this was to create wavy lines. Come to the end, stop, lift up the foot, snag my fabric, the thread, the needle thread, snip it, lift again, pull off, cut the remaining thread. And there, on this side, I have color chain and pretty blue. And on the other side, I now have another row of green going through my fabric. So let's do a few more because we're going to use this piece in the next step. Also, there's a hint. Every time you do a row, go in the opposite direction that you went the previous time. And you can always tell your previous starts is because it will have one thread on top and one thread on the bottom. So I know I started there last time, so I'm going to start on this side this time where I had the double thread. So I'm going to have to play a little bit of holding the double threads out of the way. Pick another chain link that doesn't have any stitching with it, lift it up, get it started, and off I go. The trick is to keep it moving. Lift up, grab, cut, pull straight back, cut again. All right, we have one more left to go, I believe. One or two more left to go. Let's see if we can't do one right down the middle of it and have a lot of fun with it this way. Lift up. And off we. Now this is going to be a little tricky because you got to manhandle it. Keep it flowing. There's a lot of fun with this. You can use various stitches. On my own bag, I use the cover stitch, 3-thread cover stitch, and I put in various colors. Anybody who's taken Mary's BMT class on the 890 has learned how to do lots of fun things with those, the different threads and settings, bringing them into your machine in any different way you could possibly imagine. So now I'm getting to the edge. I'm going to try to keep this decorative thread all the way to the edge. Since this is not an all-over quilting pattern, you have a lot of places where the fabric isn't quite connected to anything and it could fold over during the process of construction. But never fear, this little guy will do a nice edging all the way around so it's easy to cut and keep all your layers together. You can do this in straight lines, horizontal lines, you can chalk lines, you can take those template transfers and just follow it. The best kind of quilting using the serger is where you have long, slightly, slowly curving lines. Okay, lift this up. Pull through. Come on. And there you go. quite pull that thread through, so we'll grab it again and bring it back. All right. Now let's talk about cutting. So we finish quilting our main piece, our whole piece that we're going to cut up now into the various bits and parts that we have for our bag. And I want to give a few hints on how to handle the cutting of it. Now you have a piece that's roughly about 13 inches by 42, 44 width of fabric, basically. And you need certain parts to cut out of this. We need one strip that goes all the way around the bag that is going to hold the main zipper to the bag, and that's 22 inches by 2.5. The bag front and back is a solid piece, that's 9 by 16. The individual pages are 6 by 8. So let's look at our fabric and how to cut it out. The first thing I do after quilting something like this is I, drop a piece of fabric on the ground. I take my straightest edge using a non-slip quilt ruler, and Quilter Select is one of the best, and I find 2.5 inches and I cut it the width of the fabric because everything else will fill in on this and it gives you a nice long piece. So there's that piece, and there's the piece I won't be using. Next, I go and I square off one edge with a chalk marker and the ruler, using that straight edge to set it up, cut up, and mark it where I'm going to deal with it. I'm not cutting this off, even though that's the piece that's got all the bits and pieces of threads, because I'm going to be sealing it in the next step, and I want all those things to be caught in that sealing method. So I measure out 16 inches and I cut that off. So that leaves you this solid piece. And from there on, I measure out every 6 inches and I trim them down to 8 inches. And that leaves you these pieces left over. So now we're going to talk about sealing the seams. Because this is not a tight over all the edge, you can see that things can easily get folded down in the process. So how do we handle that? First of all, we come up and we go to our serger and we set it for a 3-stitch narrow setting, or if you have it already set up for wide 3-stitch overcast, all you have to do is move the needle from the right back cover stitch in the back to the left. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Just move the needle from the left position to the right position, and you line up your knife on that edge you drew on your fabric, and you go. You're sealing the edges. All your threads are going to be cut off and caught in this process. I'm lining up my knife. I'm not watching what my needle's doing. I'm watching what my knife is doing. I'm going to serge off, come back around, put it. Now this edge has already been trimmed to the length I want, so I'm just going to get it as close as I can to the knife without actually feeding the knife into it. I deliberately did not put my thread catcher here so you can see how little I'm taking off of this edge. I'm holding both sides of the fabric together with my fingers like I would do with pins. Come over, twist the project over, butt up again, because that's another edge that I've cut straight. I know this is perfect length. Come back down. Serge off, turn around, twist it so I can see my marked edge. Line it up with the knife, and now I'm cutting through. And there you go. You have a completely sealed all 4 edges, and it is set up for a scant 1/4 inch seam. So the settings are I have a cutting width just shy of 6, and I have increased my stitch length to about 3.5. Serge off. Now I'm going to seal my other pieces from the next step so you can see that. And the main one we're going to be doing today is the zipper front. So this has already been trimmed off everywhere to make it square and even. So I am going to do very little trimming. Once again, I'm right up against the knife. I'm not under the knife, I'm next to it. So if nothing else, it does just a little bit of hair trimming. Now, I have a little extra fabric on here because I lined it up with a different edge. So I'm going to be very careful. Some of this is going to go under the knife because I used the yellow edge as my marker. Cut my thread. No, these are the two major pieces that we're doing. Now we're going to finish off the other pieces right now, and then we'll get right back to you and we're going to start talking about assembling the bag. All right, here's the setup when you're just chaining things through. I just pick it up. I don't break my thread. I just make sure I'm right there, right next to the knife, and off you go. You don't have to lift the presser foot, just tip it in underneath it. And then I feel like there should be a song or a sea chanty when you're doing it, when you're working with this, like, whoa, 10,000 leagues, or is that 10,000 bottles on the wall or something like that? I don't know. Followed my own advice, get it right next to the knife, not under the knife. And now, use my scissors. And get them cut. By using a three thread overcast, you're and extending the stitch length, you're minimizing how much thread buildup there is, but you're getting a very compressed, easy edge to deal with when you're binding later on at the last step. And 2 more edges and everything is all sealed and ready for the next step. Now we're going to take a little break up while I set up the sewing machine to complete the rest of the bag.